All right. Welcome on in on this Tuesday night, ladies and gentlemen that are out there. This is a more different kind of tone stream, of course. We have tragically lost a young lady that we all have been cheering for and inspired by for several years now, named Ariah. And she passed away from cancer. Gary's going to be able to give kind of more of a backstory on that. But this whole idea of this stream is to raise money for her family to help put her to rest. And the two ways that you guys can contribute if you would like is one, you can see in the comment right below here, no super chats, please, because YouTube takes a cut and taxes take a cut. We want the money to go directly there. PayPal your donations to sales@chesapeakebeardco.com. If you guys can do friends and family, then there's absolutely nothing taken out. So please consider that. And the second way, and there's a link in the description, is down below on the banner. It says French Crush. Any French Crush oil that is sold, 100% of the revenue is donated to her family. And what that means is it's not just not the profit, not what's made, not a percentage. Every penny that comes into Chesapeake, they are donating that to the family. And Gary's contribution is the cost. I mean, how much the oil is, the bottle, the production, the shipping, or anything that goes into factoring in that, okay? And we're going to get into some introductions. I'm going to bring Mo in here, and we'll get him going in a second. But we're first going to go to Gary. He'll tell kind of a backstory, a little bit of history. I know one thing that he's going to touch on, that'll kind of lead to, is how this all started, the original French Crush donation here. That was, I got a little bit of an echo if anybody's able to turn their volume down. I'll see on mine too here. But the original one was on this channel, and it was a really special night. Everybody came together and did an amazing thing. I have tonight I actually have the French Crush oil. I just took a shower before this, the oil, and I have the French Crush butter in. So that's where it started there. Gary, I'll kick it over to you. And if you guys don't know, Gary is the owner of Chesapeake Beard Co., and he has the family attachment to this that he'll talk about.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. But real quick, so I did mention before, I think in one of the streams in the post, and I reached out I knew the Dorito part, but I reached out to her father to ask about the drink part. But Ariah, like when I went and visited her, she had about 12 or 15 of the family-sized bags of Cool Ranch Doritos. And I was like, can she eat those? And he's like, that's all she will eat. So we asked people, like, if they were going to have a snack for the night, that's what we wanted to do. So we have her Cool Ranch Doritos, and I have a bottle of Sprite. This is her bag, and I'm opening it so she has access to it. And this is her Sprite, and I'm opening it so she has access to it. And then I have a bag and bottle for Kellen as well whenever he decides to come in. But you can't see it because I have it on the table in front of me, but I do have her bottle and her bag sitting there. I know it's kind of cheesy, but that's just something I wanted to do. So, yeah, so the Ariah Strong project, or even like the French Crush, so how that happened, Kellen was probably 9 at the time. He was my youngest son. He'd always wanted to be in the lab and help me create scents and do work with me. He's always been like 100% into Chesapeake from the start. So one day when I was upstairs in the lab working on some stuff, I told him, okay, fine. You know, after bugging me, come on up. I told him, pick about between 10 to 20 cents from this shelf, and then we'll go through and see which ones will even work together. So he picked probably about 12 or 15, put them on the table. Then, okay, I told him pick one that he wants to be the main scent. Then we went through the process, and he picked everything, and then he blended everything. And what he picked was a strawberry, an orange, a French vanilla, and an oak. And he blended, and it kind of smells like a Skittles a little bit. But he made this scent, and I was like, cool, what do you want to do with it? And he goes, well, can we make this and then donate the money to charity? And we were like, so originally it was going to be St. Jude's Children's Hospital, because he's always had a thing about helping kids, even as a kid himself. So we made it up. We hadn't quite decided on the name of the scent yet. Well, I want to say within 2 days, maybe 3 tops, we found out that his best friend from in Arizona, where we're from, because we just recently moved. He hadn't even been here a year yet. had been diagnosed with cancer. So we talked to him about that, and then he just on his own said, "Dad, can we make that scent but raise money for her instead?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, dude." So he came up with the name French Crush. He won't openly admit it, but that was his crush back home, his best friend. They were in school together, and we were family friends, so we spent time together. And, he loved Ariah. So we came up with French Crush. His name was even on the bottles, created by Kellen to support Ariah. We wanted to, we were trying to figure out, well, how can we raise money, sell this, to make sure we get it out to people? And I contacted Dan. I said, "Hey, this is what we have. Would you like to host a stream where we could announce this product and raise as much money as possible?" No hesitation, Dan did it. Even the climate at that time was kind of a rough climate for me, but he took it on, and we sold out. It was quick. It was within the hour. We did 100 bottles, I believe it was, and I had to do a second round of 100 just to keep up because people kept wanting it. So that's how that came about as far as the scent. She battled it was a little over a year and a half that she has battled the cancer, and it happened that she had injured her arm, and her arm it got real swollen, and they thought it was just from the injury, but it never subsided. So when they went to the hospital, they tested, and they found out it was a form of cancer, and it was really aggressive, and they just went from there. So I'm getting sidetracked trying to think what I want to do, but that's how the French Crush scent and oil came about. And we had since, knowing that it was a battle that was going to take a while for her to fight, and we were all optimistic and hopeful. I think nobody was as hopeful as her dad, Jeremy. So we did another round in the fall, and this time we did a butter instead of the oil. And raised money for them again. We did shirts, and everything we've done, like Dan said, 100% goes to them. We don't, raise the percentage just to give that percentage to the family. Yes, we did raise it to $20, just knowing that full 20, because even numbers are better to work with as well, will go to the family, with the exception of shipping, but that should be expected. But that's how that scent came about. Turn it back to Dan, but I will tell you more about her story and then how she lived life. And when we did go visit her in the hospital in February, because that's when her mom had reached out in February and said, "Hey, it's not looking good. These are what the expectations are." So I think I found out like on a Sunday or Monday, and I booked flights that day. We went that weekend. Kellen and I went to go visit. I wanted him to see his friend one more time, with the hope of maybe if we were there, we talked to her about maybe seeing her this summer. And she just happened to pass 2 weeks before our planned trip to Arizona. So that's how that started.
Yeah. Thank you, Gary, for sharing. And I know we had some people coming in later, and Gary will come back around and kind of give you more information on what happened recently and how she lived her life. And for me, like Gary said, when he asked, it wasn't even a thought. As a father, it just, that hit me so hard. I'm a middle school teacher. She was at the age of my students, and it just absolutely wrecked me. I wanted to do anything we could, and I'm hoping it helped. I hope tonight helps. I hope everything else has helped. She absolutely was inspiration. And Ryan, I saw in the chat, said that French Crush will always have a place on his shelf. Same here. I don't even, the use of this is far more important for me than it is my beard. I have this right by my filming area, and I walk by it every time, and it's like a humbling reminder of, man, there's real problems out there. There's real hurt. There's real families that need a help. And literally, this is what I look at to remember that, and just kind of like, I feel for the family, and then puts my life and my problems in perspective. It's just a super powerful bottle to have. So I'll kick it over to Bearded Life Joe right next to me. He has a YouTube channel. He is a single father who has a young daughter around this age. So Joe, go ahead and give your kind of experience and perspective with this and just any thoughts you have.
Yeah, like you said, being a single dad, and Sam's going to be 13 soon. When you hear about Ariah's story, as a parent, there's nothing you fear more than something happening to your kids. And with my situation and what I have to deal with, Sam does have to go get tested to check herself out. So it's a fear we live with every day, that this is something we might have to worry about. And I honestly couldn't imagine as a parent, there's nothing that compares to this. And when I heard what happened, there's not enough you can do, but anything I could do to help, I was going to try to do. And I told Gary anything he needed, I'd be there. And I think it's amazing all that Gary and this community, really the whole community, everything they've done to support this little girl. She was truly an inspiration. She was the epitome of the word fighter. And every picture I've ever seen posted of this little girl, she's got the biggest smile you've ever seen. And it really touches you in more ways than you can possibly describe. And, I even told my daughter about it, and her face, kids don't register that stuff, especially when Aria was so close to her own age. It's a scary thought. And as a parent, I honestly couldn't imagine, like, I really couldn't imagine dealing with something like that. And my heart and my prayers go out to the family. I really don't know what else to say.
Yeah, man, it's one of those things where it's hard to grasp at words, especially when you relate it to your own kids, your family, your loved ones. We'll check in now. Down below me is Mo, the bearded shark, and he has been very personally attached to this. He has really taken it on himself to make a video to get the word out, make posts, and you can tell he especially with this, he wears his heart on his sleeve, and he really feels for it. So Mo, just give any thoughts and perspectives and why this particular thing means so much to you.
Over a year ago, a little bit over a year ago, whenever, Chesapeake and everybody started the Ariah Strong, it was during, I guess you can say, a dark time for me. And it was just like seeing a sweet young girl just fighting. I remember messaging a couple of people, especially Dan. I'm like, dude, this bottle is literally more than just a scent. It's like he said, it's just a symbol of, be grateful and thankful, because there's other people that's having, worse situations out there. And it was just like from day one, I was involved, and like, just like everybody else, we wanted updates on Ariah and everything like that. And, she just inspired so many people in the bearded community and around the world to live life to the fullest. And, I wanted to, I told Gary, I said, anything that you need from me, anything I can do to help. And I'm just appreciative that I'm part of the stream tonight and remembering Ariah and everything that she's done for the bearded community.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Mo. And yeah, I think that was one of the most inspiring things, is to see how she was fighting. Gary did a phenomenal job of giving updates on Instagram, giving updates on live streams, showing pictures from the hospital. And I mean, especially as a parent or a loved one, having that helpless feeling is one of the worst. We spent a week in the hospital with Jax, and he was on death's door, and there's no worse feeling, right? Especially if you are a fighter, especially if you are someone who's passionate. So yeah, it was just absolutely inspiring to see her fighting through it all, and seeing how Gary and his son too. It was really awesome to see a young man step up and try to do so good, and see him on live stream speaking about his friend. It was awesome. And yeah, Phil asked if anybody can put a link to the donation in the chat. So Gary, I don't know if you have there, anybody is able to type that up and just throw it in the chat there. But if you are looking for the donation link, it is sales@chesapeakebeardco.com. That's through PayPal. We ask that you guys try to use friends and family. If you do that, 100% of what you're donating, there's nothing taken out Or you can go to Chesapeake and buy the French Crush, and 100% of the revenue is donated there. And I'm going to kick it back over to Gary here. I know he's trying to get the link and everything set up. But Gary, if you could, I think it would be important for people to hear kind of what's been going on recently from when she was at the hospital and how that progressed and was released from the hospital, and just how everything's been going. And then anything that you want to share from what's going on with the family right now and what you've heard from them.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, so like I said, in February when the mom reached out, and I had stayed in contact, obviously, with the family, and always checked them. I didn't do it daily because I didn't want to give them their space and everything. But every couple of weeks, I would reach in and say, hey, how's our girl doing? To get updates. And that's when in February, she's like, they're saying it's pretty much the end of the road, and you see what happens from here. So we went and visited. So when we got there is when we got to the hospital. And of course, it is what you expected. She was, in a frail state, but I'd be damned if she wasn't the smilingest kid. And that's something that, and like Joe and Mo said, every picture and everything you see with her, huge smile. Like, this is a kid who was struggling internally with, like, her body was destroying itself, and she was smiling about it. She wasn't angry. She wasn't crying. She wasn't, just like, and she had every reason to be upset. And I'm sure there was days where she was. But if you weren't inside that inner circle, you really probably didn't see it. And then I want to say about 3 or 4 months ago, they decided, well, let me back up before that. So when we went and visited her in the hospital, there had been a trial drug that was being touted as this will stop what's going on with her. This will specifically do what we need it to do, and she'll have a good chance. Well, she got approved for it, and right before she started it, she had some symptoms of things that kind of made it where she wouldn't be able to start the test right away. So it got put on hold. Well, since they couldn't start the test when she was approved for it, when they went to go back again, they wouldn't approve her for it. So that was a gut punch to everybody involved. And we were trying desperately to find out ways to get it approved. And it wasn't happening. And then they finally did get the company, Pfizer was the company, decided they were going to give her the medicine regardless what insurance anybody said. So they actually started that trial drug, but it was just too late. It just wasn't going to do what it was supposed to do. It was way too late. So basically they said, look, there's no point for her to stay in the hospital because everything that we could do, you could do at home. So she did go home a few months ago. No chemo, nothing like that. And was on hospice. So we expected not, maybe a week or two. But she pulled 3 or 4 months, maybe longer. And I would ask Mom, hey, Tiff, how's she doing? And she'd say, she ate more food today than I've seen her eat in 3-4 weeks. She's drinking, smiling. She was paralyzed from the waist down due to the cancer pretty much destroying her spine. So she couldn't really move, maybe mobilized, but the family did not go anywhere without her. They have her little bed. They'd put the bed in the back of the Suburban. They laid down seats. She went everywhere, and Mom made sure every day they were doing something fun. They took her to the cabins. They just did lots of things to make sure she was experiencing the life that she needed to experience, and the life that matched her outlook on it. Like, she just was happy. There's smiling. So why sit at home depressed? Let's go put some smiles on her face. So they did that. She just kept fighting and kept fighting. And then I had checked on them probably a week before, found out she passed. And I didn't even find out right away because I woke up Monday morning from a message from Chris, the company, 2 minutes later, saying, hey, sorry about the loss. And at first I was confused. I just woke up. So I went and looked, and sure enough, she had passed over the night. So Chris actually was the first one in my community, in my world, to know, because he followed the Facebook page the family had for her. because it happened overnight and I was sleeping. So the parents never messaged me because of the time difference. So they always waited for me to reach out. So she passed the 29th, 1 month from her 11th birthday. They were just planning. I want to say 4 days before that, her mom had posted a thing. They were planning out the whole month of July for her birthday month to celebrate and making all these plans. But then she passed in her sleep, which is probably the best way to go. You know, probably the easiest for her. But something, and I'm bad when it comes to loss of life and like funerals and stuff. Like I don't get super emotional. I don't get, because I think when you get that emotional and you're just super distraught, to me personally, it's more you're upset that that person's gone for you. I like to celebrate her time here, celebrate her outlook. She wouldn't want us to be mad or angry, or she'd want us to smile like she did. She fought this with a smile, and that's just kind of I've kind of taken on her outlook a little bit with some things that's been going on. Like you gotta smile. Like life's too short to be angry about something. If a little 10-year-old girl being destroyed by cancer could smile every day and be happy about each day, then we could do the same. I mean, like there's nothing going on in our lives in comparison to that. So yeah, very happy child.
Yeah, well said. We all really appreciate that backstory, and empathy is a powerful thing, man. Putting yourself in somebody else's shoes and feeling for this family. Now, does Aria have any siblings?
Yeah, so, and I was going to get into that too, more about her personal story. So she does. So Ariah is actually adopted. She has a younger sister who is the youngest of the family as well, who is her biological sister. They went into the foster care system when they were very young, and this is part of the reasons why I'm like, I don't know anybody stronger than this little girl, because the things that she had gone through life, taken from her home, for reasons not in her control, placed in the foster care system, bounced around because families didn't want to deal with her, because obviously you have a little kid ripped from their home, and keep in mind she was really young. There's going to be behavioral issues, and they're going to not fit in every time you just drop a little kid into someone else's home. That's not normal for them. So when she finally got placed with the Price family, may have the number wrong, they have 5 or 6 kids on their own. And when they got placed with the Price family, it was like, if you didn't know them, you wouldn't know. She fit in physically. There was every aspect of her. She fit in with that family. It was like Jeremy and Tiffany were her mom and dad, and always been like, you would never been able to tell. And my wife, who was a teacher at the school where they all went to, she had interactions with Ariah because they're family friends of ours as well. And she even said, like, when Ariah first got there, like her behavior, everybody was finding excuses to be mad at her because of her behavior. But for whatever reason, like Ariah would always just go up to my wife's classroom and just hang out with her after school while they're waiting for mom to pick them up. And they clicked really well. And I'm gonna say after about a year, Ariah just became night and day different than how she was. She actually had a family who loved her and didn't treat her like a problem. And she just blossomed in this family. Then they finally adopted, which was great because they were able to adopt her and her sister. And if you ask her parents, I mean, she's not adopted, she's their kid. I mean, there's no legally, yeah, but every other aspect, that's their daughter. So to go through that alone as a young kid, that's a rough life to have to start. I mean, like, yeah, there was, light at the end of that tunnel because she found a great family whose main objective was just to provide her a life that she deserved. And then to have to fight cancer on top of it. After that, it's like, I'm not a super religious guy, but and as terrible as it sounds, it's like the plan for her was to experience what's bad in life to show us what's good in in life. And that may sound cliche, that may sound, normally, older people always say that, but I truly feel that way. Because she did. She experienced a lot of what's bad and showed us what's good. Like, she really did.
Yeah,
Yes, buddy. Is it okay if I plug in the line cable? Don't reset the Wi-Fi. I need it. All right. It's just plugging in something. I'm sorry. My oldest Peyton needed to plug in. He resets my router 20 times a day because it's PlayStation.
Gotcha. Yeah. It's just heartbreaking. There's no way around it. It's just absolutely heartbreaking, and we feel for the family, and we appreciate everyone that's trying to help out. Not only do they have to grieve and go through all of the emotions that are going on that have kind of culminated to this moment, but now they also have to take care of laying her to rest and deal with all that. If anybody's had to deal with that with a family member, you know how much goes into that, and it's the last thing you want to think about. It's the last thing you want to worry about. So if you were if you're able to help take a weight off their shoulders. I know people have helped me in the past. As I said, when my son Jax was in the hospital and was literally, they rushed him into surgery. He was going to die if they didn't take him into surgery. And people were able to take a weight off my shoulder without asking. Ariah's family have never asked for any of this. It makes a huge difference. They should worry about grieving about their daughter and their emotions and going through that natural healing process and not have to worry about the other stuff. So anybody, big or small at all, that has contributed to that, it's a whole different level of appreciation and thanks there. So Mo or Joe, I don't know if you guys have any thoughts or anything to add right now. Mo, you want to throw in there?
Well, like you said, I mean, I had a couple people message me, throughout the week and, ask about the stent profile. And honest to God, I don't remember the stent profile. And, my answer was like, it don't really matter about the stent profile. Just, you did it to help out the friends and family of Aria. But, like I was saying earlier, she, from day one, when, Gary started this, she took over the bearded community with just like by a whole, man. Like she's her smile is just contagious, and it brought people together that you didn't think that would ever be in the same room together. And it was just like she was just like this big old like positive vibe magnet around everybody, and the things that people did for her, it was just that I don't think it's enough because of the amount what she did for us. So I mean, people, I've been through a tough time where I had to lay actually my father to rest at 21 years old, working a rinky-dink job and without even me knowing what's going on, what to do and all this. And I had people that were strangers, help without me even knowing. And like Dan said, that's the time for the family to grieve and heal naturally, not worry about expenses. And anything that you guys can do, by all means, please. You don't have to buy the oil. Donate to the PayPal.
Awesome. Looks like we got Kellen in here.
Yeah, Kellen just joined in. So say hello, Kellen.
Hi.
Yeah. And I do want to say so, and we're not holding this event tonight as asking for help necessarily. To me, this is closure for the community because, like Mo said, when we first started doing this, the way it took over the community and how we kept, raising the funds for was amazing. And it's not just for her. Joe did his charity to raise for kids with I think it's NF is what it's called. The community came out for that. We did one with the Flying Beardsmen. So it's just how the community comes out to help others is amazing. So I wanted this to be closure for everybody who has helped in any way, shape, or form with Ariah, just to kind of know, hey, we did our part. She did her part. Okay, buddy. And then, it's time for us to just, we don't have to feel pain for anymore because she's not feeling it either. So something just we can all move on. And, the Ariah Strong Project isn't something that's going to go away. And I said from the start that Ariah Strong Project would focus on her as long as she's alive. But now we're going to be focusing back to St. Jude's and other children with cancer. So the plan is every June 29th, which is the day she's passed, will be the Ariah Strong Day for Chesapeake and for the bearded community. As long as I'm involved with it, everybody will know what June 29th is. And we will run French Crush products that day in donations. And half will go to St. Jude's and the other half will go to anybody in the community who knows somebody who has a child fighting cancer. We will select a family and we will help them out. And if we could help more than one, we'll do more than one. But the goal is half to St. Jude's, because a lot of these families who need the help do go to St. Jude's because they offer the free health care, no questions asked. But they do that based on donations, big or small. And then we want to personally help a family as well, because there are financial things. Yeah, the medical care may be free at St. Jude's, but there's other expenses, not going to work, taking care of your other kids. There's things that St. Jude's just doesn't cover. So that's what the Ariah Strong Project, and my goal is, and I'm going to start working on it, is by next June 29th, the Ariah Strong Project will be a 501c3 charitable organization, like a legit organization. And we will have one of her parents, because you have to have board members, so we'll have one of her parents there. We'll have myself and then someone from the beard community as well.
That's awesome.
But that is something we will work on and try to have that done. Well, not try. I will have that done unless there's a red tape that delays it. But we're going to have that done by next June 29th. Especially for those who make hefty donations and want to be able to write those off. I want to be able to give them that opportunity. It's never something that I look for when I donate, but I do know some people, need to have that option. So we will make sure that's possible. And that helps other businesses donate too, because a lot of businesses don't like to donate unless they have that option. Just because they feel like it's less of a, oh, you're just begging for money type thing, But that's something we're gonna do.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. You can pencil me in every year to help.
Yeah, and I hope we don't have a family that needs help next year. I hope we don't. Unfortunately, I'm sure we will. But man, I hope we don't. I hope we can give it all to St. Jude's. And we won't be able to help everybody, but we're going to do as much as we can to help somebody. And it's going to be all done to her name. And I'm going to do my part to make sure her name goes on with this project. We're not changing the name. It's Ariah Strong Project all day, every day.
Super glad to hear that. And I can really see that as something as like Kellen, as he gets older and older, kind of taking a bigger part on and leading and bringing school into and everything, especially with schools being able to acknowledge it as an actual organization. That will be phenomenal, man. That's turning something in a tragedy into something that can help out a lot of people. So just heartbreaking, but definitely the help is out there. And I'll be honest, I didn't even know that about St. Jude's, I knew St. Jude's helped children. I knew that they were doing a lot of amazing things. I didn't know that it was no questions asked in those situations, and they cover the medical costs. That's phenomenal.
Yeah,
I didn't either.
There may be like if you have health insurance, they may use that too.
Right.
But it's no out-of-pocket expense for the families.
I did not know that. That's phenomenal. That's clearly why they're one of the most commonly thought of and donated to and charitable causes.
That's why you see that.
Yeah, it sounds well deserved, and like we said, man, it just puts everything into perspective. And they said that bottle is really powerful. This is that original bottle. I've had a couple butters too. This is that original bottle, that number one. I don't know if this will catch it on here. And everything goes through, man. You just love it. Absolutely love it. Will that be the symbol for the project?
Yeah, so Kellen chose that. So there's a ribbon on the bottom of the bottle, which is the children's cancer ribbon. But Kellen wanted colors and things that represented children. So the colorful handprints, because it's all different colors, it represents everything. And there's a little piñata on the bottom right corner. That's his signature. There's always going to be that silly little pinata on French Crush because Kellen says that's how people know he did it. And pinata is a celebration. I mean, when do you have a pinata? Always at a celebration. So everything about that product is celebration. To celebrate her. Now it's more about celebrating her. And be honest, without her tragedy, French Crush wouldn't really be happening. I mean, we might have done a one run to help St. Jude's, and who knows, like what Kellen would have done with it. But the fact that 2 days later, his friend needed his help, and everything we've done with French Crush has been 100% Kellen. I'm not even allowed to mix the blend of those fragrances to make more without him doing it because I don't know what I'm doing. He knows the blend, although I know the blend, but he's hands on and he loves it. And every time when I said, hey, we're going to do this thing on Tuesday with French Crush, he's like, well, you didn't ask me about it. Like I needed his permission because that's his French Crush thing.
Good.
But he just walked back in the room. So do you want to tell these people anything or say anything? You don't have to. I mean, but if you want to. This week has been kind of rough for him. He's been pretty sad about everything. You want to say thank you at least, or like, I appreciate everything you're doing for my friend, anything.
Thank you.
There you go. Nice and sweet. All right. You appreciate
Thank you, Kellen. That's awesome,
everybody
man.
helping out. Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing a great thing here, and I think you'll realize that more and more as you get into this over the years. So seriously, thank you for what you've done for this family and for what you're going to do for many more families in the years to come, Kellen.
You're welcome, and thank you. Right, that's some nice stuff you said. Yeah. He's a man of little words when he's kind of like, emotional about it. Because he told me earlier, and I told him we're gonna do the stream tonight. He told me he was sad. You know what I mean? So, and he was sad this weekend. He had a little. My brother-in-law and his family were down visiting, and Kellen had a little anger blow-ups with his uncle over some stuff because he was dealing with emotions of everything going on, and he pulled his uncle aside and was like, "Look, I'm sorry, I'm sad. I lost my friend. I just not sure how to handle that anger right now and stuff like that." So, so he's quiet, but he's sitting here with his Sprite and his Doritos.
Yeah, totally understandable. I'm not good with these situations either. I've told many stories from funerals where I just handle them terribly. I'm not good in those times at all. So you're not alone, Kellen, man. I'm right there with you.
We heard your funeral story.
Like you said, it's hard for adults to process this kind of stuff. Imagine being a kid with all the emotions, and it's not any easier. It's hard for everyone, and he's cool though. He's a good kid. He's doing something awesome too. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Now, Gary, I don't know if you or if Kellen can chip in there, but are you guys able to give any? I know we have Doritos and Sprite, but any other things that Ariah liked to do or that she was like interested in and into?
Yeah. So she loved theater, like plays and stuff. She was in plays. She actually got to be a guest. Was in Frozen, right? You went to go see her play in that.
She sang "Let It Go."
Yeah, she sang "Let It Go." I think I might have posted one of the pictures. She's in her Frozen dress with her little bald head, and she's singing with a big smile. But she loved doing that stuff in the theater. Gymnastics. Her mom runs a gymnastics school, so she loves that stuff. There's these little stuffed animals that smell like fruit and stuff. She had every single one in her hospital room. Oh man, I can't remember, like Puffles. These little stuffed animals that smell like fruit and cotton candy, and can't remember what they're called. She loves swimming, right? Because you went swimming with her and you went and saw the play. She just loved doing it. She was just adventurous. She was very high energy. Like before she got sick, very high energy. And we went out. The time that my wife shattered her ankle roller skating, we went out with the Price family to a roller rink, and Ariah was just following me everywhere. Mr. Gary, just all over the place. And then she's like, "Hey, Mrs. Lewis fell." I'm like, "What?" There's Erin in the back helping Kellen with her ankle hanging out of her boot. Yeah, that was gross. But she was concerned about my wife at that time too. So Oh, oil. So I'm sorry. I got sidetracked.
I was just going to cut you off. The good news for the foundation and helping the family is that I know you had, I think, over 30 available coming into tonight, and all oils are sold out.
Yeah. There was 32 to be exact. I looked when we were talking earlier just to see, and it looks like, yeah, sold out. Yeah, because we started with 100. Because I'm like, you know what, we could do 100 pretty easy because we did that last time. I mean, I can always do more, but I think 100 is reasonable because that. And I want to say, the moment I came out with that she passed, and it wasn't. I expected a few people to reach out and do what they can because they've been doing that already. So it wasn't an expectation. I just knew it was coming. But yeah, Bam at Jolly Old Fat Man Beard Company immediately sent a donation, and I won't disclose the amount unless he wants to. Much more than you would even expect. Ginger Beards made a cent, and they sold 20 bottles, I think, and the profits from that they sent it to me. And we already sent Bam's donation to the family. We sent Ginger Beard's donation to the family. Brian at Crusher's Creations, they did a cent, but they wanted to send it directly themselves, which was fine. I was trying to avoid that because having people you don't know contact you gets kind of weird sometimes. But they had a reason for it, so we went with it, which was greatly appreciated. They sold 20 bottles of sugar rum, and the profits went from them. I'm not sure how much was sent. It doesn't matter to me. Who else? Jay's Beard Essentials from the 2nd to the 6th, which was yesterday, did a portion of their sales for that whole 4-day period. He reached out to me today, asked for the information so he could send it over to me. And then just people in general. So the fact that these other companies on their own, most
Chronic
of which,
Beard Co. Didn't they throw in
Beard
after John's stream?
Yes. Did I not mention that? So
Nope.
Mike, Chronic Beard Co. Mike, he did it with Flying Beardsman. He said, you know what, all a percentage, whatever, because he was already doing a huge sale with John. So he, on top of the big discount, he gave out like a 30% discount that night. He, on top of that, gave profits. And I posted that. It was $176. I had posted that on Facebook with his permission, or Instagram. And I've never really talked to Mike from Chronic Beard. Bam, I've talked to a little bit. Ginger Beards, I've talked to before. Never once said a word to Jay, had any conversation ever with Jay's Beard Essentials. And then, of course, Brian with Crushers, I had talked to him before. So for at least half of those people, I had no relationship with, and for them just to say, hey, we want to do this, especially someone I don't even know, as in Jay's Beard Essentials, was just amazing. Like, and they're like, hey, we want to help you. It's like, I appreciate it. You're not helping me, you're helping them, but I appreciate you doing that. And as soon as they send the money, I send it directly to the mom. Then I let them, I say, here's the thing I sent, just so, some transparency so people know it's going.
Couple questions for you real quick. My friend Steve says he wants to buy a shirt. Does the proceeds from that, for the shirts, for pretty much that whole tab for Ariah, does that go to the family?
Yeah. So the oils and the stuff that I make, it's a 100% thing. The apparel, it's the profit, because I don't make them, and since it's fulfilled third party, like that shirt costs a little bit to make. So I don't eat the cost on that. I just take the difference and I send it to them. But in the way I counter that throughout the year, I send stuff to them without selling any French crust. So technically, yeah, the whole price of the shirt goes to them because they get that one way or the other anyway.
Right. And then Eric wants to know, how long will the PayPal be good for the donations? How long are you thinking?
So that PayPal is my business PayPal that I use for all my business transactions. If you want to make a donation at any time, always do friends and family, so there's no fees taken out, and always put a note, because you can. This is for Ariah. When I see that note, as soon as I see it in there, it goes directly. Like, I transfer that directly to her mother, and I do it that way because she doesn't really want her PayPal out there, and I think the GoFundMe was closed a while ago. So I just do it that way. They send it to me, then I send it directly to them. And I always put in the note, hey, this is from, like with Mike, I said, hey, this is from Mike with Chronic Beard Co. He raised for Ariah. Hey, this is from Bam at Jolly Old Fat Man. And then there's been individuals who send stuff, hey, this is for Ariah. So I send it, hey, this is from this person, da-da-da. So they always know who it's coming from, and they know it's not just me. And the mom has told me a few times, the way she goes, let your clients know that we greatly appreciate them. And all those bearded guys, like when we first started doing this, she was like, there's no way all these guys with beards are just giving money to help our family and daughter. I'm like, you'd be surprised. They're not the big biker angry guys that you would think. Some have big beards, some have barely any beards, but they're nice guys. And they like helping. I mean, that's just kind of what we do. But she's very great.
I agree. And my friend Chris asked to see a picture. This is Ariah here, and I think that is a perfect picture. Sums it up extremely well with the smile on her face, and you can see obviously the battles she's been through, and still has a smile there. So there is a GoFundMe. It looks like it's still opened, but
is it still open?
It looks like it. Yeah, it says donate now.
Okay. Yeah, because they haven't shared that link in, man, I can't tell you how long.
Okay. Yeah, just absolutely, beautiful young lady there.
They might have updated this as she passed, but I haven't seen that link be shared in there. That's why I just assumed it closed, because it was actually a couple years old.
Yeah, it was. All right. Well, I think we'll kind of go between everybody here, and if anybody has any final thoughts in the chat, feel free to drop. And Gary, we'll end with you and Kellen and at the very end, so you guys can kind of think about your thoughts there. But anybody final thoughts in the chat, please throw it at any time. We'll go to Joe, then Mo, then end with Gary and Kellen here. So, and again, thank you guys for being here to help. Joe and Mo really jumped on this from the start to do whatever they could, and they eagerly wanted to help for all the different reasons that are awesome. So Joe, go ahead and whatever you got, man, just uncork those final thoughts and feelings.
I want to thank you guys first for letting me be part of this. It really was something that meant a lot to me, and what Gary said was right, man. The spirit of this little girl just absolutely swept through this community, and everybody talked about her. Her smile made everyone else smile. And I know this community is going to come out and do whatever they can for this family, because it's absolutely what the beard community does and what I love about being a part of this community. And going forward, I know Gary's going to do everything he can to keep Ariah's memory strong, and I know we all will. She was an inspiration to all of us. My daughter's never met her, and she looks at her like a role model, really. Like, she looks at Ariah like that little girl smiled through everything. And I complain when you can't buy me an ice cream bar. So the spirit of Ariah is going to be strong forever, and we're going to make sure of it. That's a promise.
Well said. Well said. Mo, final thoughts and feelings?
I'm going to piggyback off of Joe. The spirit of Ariah will go on with us forever, and anything that I can do to help and be part of, definitely. And, I'll never let go of Sprite now. So Sprite will always be in my soft drink selection. So this is for Ariah. So boys, hold your Sprites up. Rest easy, pretty girl.
All right. And Gary and Kellen, go ahead, and we will end with you guys here. Any final thoughts, anything at all? And sincerely thank you for everything that you've done to help this family and many, many more people with the message and the thoughts and families in the future.
Yeah, so real quick, though, I do want to give Mo a bonus because although this wouldn't have paired well with Cool Ranch, so we didn't do it tonight, but her second favorite drink was chocolate milk. So drink those Yoo-Hoos all day.
There we go.
There you go. Awesome. Yoo-Hoo's not chocolate milk, but it's the closest thing you can get in a soda form to chocolate milk.
That's true.
And I did want to say, when I mentioned all those companies that came and helped, I do want to talk real quick about those who helped before. Dan, obviously, huge help. His platform, he donated his platform for us to do this. Vinny P when we did the butters, he bought more than 20 of them with all the money going to Ariah, and then he donated those for giveaways. Then we had Dave, who helped out with Vinny P for his platform as well. Vinny P even bought some shirts and gave away some of the shirts. I can't even begin to even think about who else has helped. But then the reason why Joe, Dan, and Mo are on here with me, one, because we started this with Dan, so I wanted to. I don't want to say end it because the Ariah Strong project's not ended. I wanted to end our closure portion of this with Dan 100%. Mo's been there from the beginning. He even did the video recently to show support. And Mo was one of the ones who's always checking in. Hey, how's Ariah? How's Ariah? Joe the same way. Since I've met Joe, he's checked on it, and Joe has his own history with medical things and the cancer stuff that he does for kids, and the fact that he's a single dad raising a daughter. I just like, you know what? Joe spoke to me in my heart to have him involved with this. So it's a safe bet that you'll probably see these three faces involved with the Ariah Strong project going forward, especially this little hairy face behind me. But yeah, so everybody here, and I do want to thank everybody. I mean, she gives everybody reason to be sad, but I think she gives everybody a better reason to be happy. Smile. She smiled. I wouldn't be surprised if she went out with a smile. And now she's there. She just, I mean, without being a big religious, spiritual guy, I have no doubt she's smiling on all of us. And if we can all just live life, and as cliche as it is, just live life a little better, knowing that we don't have it as rough as some people. And there's no reason to carry anger and be hateful towards people when somebody who has every reason in the world to be angry and hateful chose not to be. It's a choice. I mean, we all have that choice. And it's something that, I need to practice what I'm preaching right now as well. And it's something I've been working on, especially the last few months, because of my relationship with the family and her knowing what she's going through. And then this guy right here, him and his brothers may hate each other and fight all the time, but if he's not the nicest kid to other kids, and always wants to help other people, he's an inspiration as well. So, I just want to thank everybody. I can't thank everybody enough. I mean, and at the end of the day, it's a beard product, but ultimately, it's us helping them. So, even if you never use it, put that bottle up on the shelf. I mean, and like Dan said, and I've been to Dan's studio, and sure enough, that bottle's sitting where it says it was. I walked right by it. He has it there. So I want to thank Mo from the bottom of my heart, truly, like, never express in words how grateful I am for Mo and his friendship and how he supported. Even when we disagree, Mo supported this 100%. Joe, although our relationship is fairly young compared to these guys, 100% your friendship and how you supported, and just thinking about, I mean, even with somebody with their own struggles, the fact that you take time to think about somebody else, 100% inspirational. And of course, Dan, I can't thank you at all. Like, there's nothing I could say to remotely thank you. And I know you shared your story with Jax, and this without trying to sound like a toot my own horn, but when Dan went through his thing, like, there was no hesitation. There's people, Mo, myself, and some other people. Like, Dan didn't ask. We didn't ask Dan. We just did it. And because like Dan said, when you're going through those things, the last thing you need to worry about is anything else but your child and how to take care of your family. So that's what we did. That's what we will continue to do. And I hope that the three guys on the screen with me can be a little bit of an inspiration to show, that there's always something bigger out there, something bigger than us. And I hope Ariah could be the inspiration to show, look, life's not always bad. There's always a reason to smile. So I could talk for 3 more hours, but I won't. So that's all I got to say. Greatly appreciated. Definitely not the last you're going to see of her name. Definitely not the last you're going to see of us in reference to this. And I hope the next project we do has a better ending. The next family we can help has a better ending.
Yeah, well said. I can't can't do anything more than what these guys said there. So thank you everybody for being here and showing support for everything that you've done. Like we said, big or small. And if you guys have any questions, Gary is one of the most accessible people out there. Contact him on Instagram for Chesapeake, or he has his website you can contact through email as well. Kellen, thank you. Keep being a stand-up young man. It really is going to pay off well for you, my friend, and you're going to help out a lot of people. So thank you guys, everybody. Mo, Joe, Kellen, Gary.
Kellen wanted to say something real quick.
Yep, take us home, Kellen.
Ever since I met Ariah, she always put a smile on my face no matter what. She put a smile on everyone's face. She helped everyone that she knew. When they went through a hard time, she always helped them.
Man, yeah, we're gonna end on that note. Thank you, Kellen, for saying that, man. I know you're quiet and that took a lot, but you probably don't know how much that means. So thank you guys. Have an awesome night, everybody, and just keep this message in your mind. Keep that perspective. All right.